Alrighty, let's see if anybody's joining.
Where'd you want to
Yeah, Ethan. Hey everybody, what's up? Alrighty. All right, we're gonna wait just a little bit for people to join. Hello, and see if our guest tonight is going to. I emailed. I just gotta make sure and see if she got it. Waiting for her to come on. How is everybody going? Hello. Let me know in the comments where you guys are from. If you're a newbie to iTrackBites, first time at the meeting, let me know what plan you're on. What's up, Paul? Go check my Instagram. Alrighty. Hey guys. Hello. Hope you guys have your drinks, coffee, anything like that. Hello from Canada. What's up? North Carolina, Florida, Ohio, Michigan. How is it going, everybody? First time I'm meeting Colorado Springs, Carb Conscious. Hello. What's up, Michelle? Hey, Vicky, newbie from Iowa. Alrighty. First day back on track and got my 2 miles in. Alrighty, so welcome to another DeMont, Indiana new I'm struggling with weight loss. What's up, Shelly? You are just around the corner from me. Literally like 15 minutes. Hello. All right, so my name is Jordan Clyde. I am your weekly live host for our iTrackBites live meetings. And I am here tonight with a very special guest, Sydney. We are going to cover all about weight loss from her, about her phenomenal journey, how much weight she's lost. She has lost a lot of weight, which is awesome. And I'm excited to learn more about her. And yes, Shelly, literally 15 minutes away. 14 and 49 is where I'm at. Alrighty, first time Jerry, what's up? Okay, so without further ado, I say let's get on and let's get Sydney on. You guys have questions for her, anything like that, I will moderate the comments as she is talking, and we'll go from there. So hello to everybody on their first live. If this is your first live, we do this every single Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So without further ado, let's bring on Sydney. Hello, Sydney.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hey, yeah, you're welcome. Okay. I gotta figure out how to make you down here. Okay. I think I go like this. There we go. Alrighty. So Sydney, welcome. Why don't you kind of give us a little intro about who you are, where you're from, age, all that.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm Sydney. I'm 25 and I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba in the Great White North of Canada.
Canada, another one.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I live with my fiance and our crazy cat, and that's kind of it. I work as an academic advisor at a university.
Oh.
So it's a cool job that I enjoy. That's kind of me, I guess.
Awesome. So like with you working at the university, are you back able to be at the university, or are you still working from home, or how's that working for you?
No, I've been working from home since March. So it's been a very long time of sitting in my apartment all day in sweatpants. So.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I didn't know like how COVID is over in Canada for you guys, how it is in the States for us. But that's awesome. So let's start with what got you on. Let's start from the beginning with your weight loss. Did you grow up like kind of heavier, like most of us were? Like, tell us from there. Start from the very beginning.
Okay, sure. My whole life story. So yeah, when I was a kid, I was always like, I wouldn't say I was a a fat kid, as they like to say, right? But I would say, I always felt like I was bigger than most of my friends, both like, horizontally and vertically. I'm 5'9", so that's always been interesting. So yeah, it's I always grew up feeling like sort of, like the odd one out a little bit. I
Right?
was pretty sensitive about my weight, especially when I got into my preteen years and, going into high school. And then the weight really started to pile on when I was in university, like with a lot of people, you start with like the freshman 15. And then like for me, it ended up being like, a total of like 80 pounds over my university career, which
Yeah.
like piling on. I'm a stress eater, which I'm sure a lot of us can relate to.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah,
Yeah,
always.
so emotional eating. I was very determined to get the best grades, and so food kind of became like my solace, my refuge, the way that I sort of like manage those feelings of stress. So and then of course not being very active because I was in the classroom all the time and studying. So my weight crept up pretty steadily over the few years I was in university. Um, so yeah, then I tried off and on, like even when I was in school, I joined the university gym, and I tried to I tried counting calories off and on, and that didn't really work out for me very well. And then after a while, I thought, well, I was interested in like the Weight Watcher style of points, and I had heard
Yeah.
good things about it, but being a student, I was totally broke. So, shelling out the money for Weight Watchers wasn't in the cards for me. So in 2016, I think I downloaded iTrackBites for the first time, and that was back
Oh
when,
wow. That was
yeah,
way back in the day. Totally different look.
yes,
Totally different
totally.
everything.
Yeah, different look, different system. Like it was, you downloaded the app, and then each of the additional features you just paid like a set fee. So I've
Yeah.
been grandfathered into like the recipe builder and like the restaurant guide since then, because I paid like $2.99 or whatever.
Oh yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
Yep. So, and I tried it off and on sort of half-heartedly, but, it wasn't until like I had gotten to my heaviest point, where I was about 245 pounds. I was on like the obese end of the
Mhm.
BMI scale, for whatever that's worth. I know it's kind of controversial, but it didn't feel good at the time.
Yeah.
And then, we went on this vacation in February 2019, to celebrate me graduating from university. And, my now fiance was with me, and, my parents and, my sister, we all went on this great family vacation. And I just remember feeling just so uncomfortable the
Mhm.
whole time. Like we were, on these beautiful beaches, and all I wanted to do was just sort of hide under these like, enormous sort of like beach cover ups, and,
No, yeah.
just sort of like shrinking into myself, sitting on the beach blanket, like not wanting people to look at me because I just felt so uncomfortable in my own skin. And even just, and it wasn't even that I didn't like the way I looked, it was that I didn't like the way that I felt, because the eating that I was doing was not even close to what you'd call nutritious. So a day did not go by where I didn't have like heartburn and stomach aches
Oh
and
yeah, definitely.
all that sort of stuff from just not eating well. And especially on vacation, like it was just like my normal poor eating habits times like a million.
Yeah.
So it was really tough. When we got back from that vacation, and I was looking back at some of the photos of me, like again, like in these big cover-ups, hiding under the umbrella, and trying to like avoid having anyone look at my body in a bathing suit.
That's the worst. I no, like that feeling of just you like you can kind of you might feel good about yourself, or cuz like contrary to the belief, people think heavier people are automatically just like hate themselves. You know what I mean? And I think like when we are at our heaviest, or when we have been at our heaviest, like we can still be happy. We can still love life and all that stuff. But it's weird how you might be in the moment, like you on vacation, like am having a good time with your family, with your fiance, all that stuff. But then it's like, afterwards, here we go. So yeah.
It was a wonderful trip, you know, like I have great memories, you know, we had such a wonderful time, you know, the family was all together and that was great. But, you know, yeah, looking back at those pictures, I just felt such a sense of, you know, just sort of disappointment in myself at, you know, where I had let myself get to. Like I knew that, you know, I didn't feel good in that size that I was at. And so, and, you know, shortly after that trip in, you know, February 2019, I, you know, recommitted. I re-downloaded the iTrackBites app. I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it for real.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I did, and I committed, and I lost 85 pounds in just over a year.
Oh, wow. Congrats.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was, you know, it was tough, but seeing the number on the scale drop week by week was such a huge motivator for me to keep going. You know, and then I had the support of my fiance, who has just been so wonderful and he's so supportive. And as soon as, you know, I said, I'm like, I'm ready to like really commit to this journey, he was like, we're doing it. We're
We're
buying
doing
the
it.
healthy
Yeah.
groceries. Like we're getting off our butts. We're gonna like do this. And so yeah, it made such a big difference to me.
Let's back up a little bit to the vacation with the photos afterwards. Do you feel like when you've seen those photos, the person that you've seen in the photos, is that how you saw how you felt? Like, does that kind of make sense? Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Like when you see yourself, you're like, oh, but I don't feel like that, or I don't think I'm like that, you know, because I feel like all of us go through that. Like, how was that for you?
Oh, it was so hard because you're totally right. Like when we were, you know, taking these pictures and, you know, we're on the vacation and the mood is high, like, you know, I had bought all these like, you know, cute like summer clothes to bring, you know, because I'm escaping like the frigid Winnipeg winter. And I was
How it is right now, especially for you guys. So
yes, yeah, it's like minus 40 out there. It's terrible. Um, Celsius for, you know, my American friends. But yeah, so it was, you know, it was tough because like I felt cute. I had all these nice outfits. I bought new bathing suits. I was feeling pretty confident. And then, you know, I got home and I started looking through these photos that, you know, my parents had sent me that they took and stuff. And I was like, ooh. And I didn't even look happy in a lot of them. And I think that's what really bothered me the most is that like I could see that I was visibly uncomfortable. My smile was very strained and I was holding myself really like awkwardly and hunched over. And that was tough because I remembered feeling totally different. But then at the same time, when I look back, I'm like, you know what? No, I didn't feel that great until when I was taking those pictures because I knew that I wasn't going to like the way that I looked in them.
Yeah. So this was kind of your aha moment, like everybody thinks about, like, oh, okay, this clicked. You've tried it in the past. So what now? So you downloaded the iTrackBites app again in 2019, of course. Big upgrades happened and all this stuff. But what, like, from before, how was it? Because like I didn't have iTrackBites back in 2016. So like, was it solely just like one plan was on iTrackBites? Does that kind of make sense back then? Or was there multiple things to choose from like there is now?
You could choose from multiple plans. So the most recent one that they had available was Sugar Smart. And back then they were calling it something different, which like, it's funny.
Was it like Smart Bites, or was that even before that?
I don't even remember what they used to call it now that I'm thinking about it. I've just gotten so like used to the new plan names, but they did have like, they had Sugar Smart and Carb Conscious and Calorie Command for sure. So those were kind of the options you had to choose from. Then, like I said, you would download the app and you had like, you know, the upgrade features for one-time payments, which was, you know, nice for me because then when I finally like recommitted to it, I was opening up and I'm like, well, I don't need to upgrade to Pro and Pay because I've already been grandfathered into
Yeah. So what made you decide to choose Sugar Smart, or back in the day, whatever it was called? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know. It was, I think it was the recommended plan at the time when I, you know, first started. And it's the one that made the most sense to me. Like I loved that, you know, fruits and non-starchy vegetables were 0 points. So I felt like that would really encourage me to eat lots of those foods. I love fruit. That was great for me.
Yeah.
You know, I tried, you know, it really helped too because I'm not like a huge sweets person, but I think that kind of worked to my advantage because like I could still enjoy the sweet treats I liked, but knowing that they were higher points just made me even more motivated to sort of avoid the sugar, which was good. Yeah. And so I think that was kind of what pushed me in that direction. and it was the most recent plan at the time, so also it was easy to find recipes on Pinterest and stuff like that.
Yeah, and all that stuff because it was like the new fad. Everybody was doing it type thing. So when you decided like 2019, you seen the photos, you're like, all right, honey, we are getting our butts in gear. We're doing this. What did you do to start? You know what I mean? Like, I know I've talked to a lot of people. Like, I've talked to Ashley, one of our ambassadors. I've talked to another lady that was on Carb Conscious too. And she was just like, I didn't go out and buy brand new grocery, you know, all this stuff. I just kind of like committed and said, okay, starting tomorrow, I'm getting my weight under control. And they just did it. You know what I mean? How was that for you? Like, were you like, if you're like me and my wife, we always are a planner. If we ever decide to do anything or try anything, like it takes us at least a week or two to get all of our crap together, you know what I mean? And figure it out. But how was that for you?
You know, it was kind of one of those things where it was such a cliche, really. It was like, you know, it was kind of, we're going into the weekend and I was like, you know what? I'm like, we've got all this sort of stuff in the house, like, you know, the salty snacks and the sweet treats and things. And I was like, you know, we're going to eat whatever we want to enjoy this weekend. And then as of Monday, as everyone always says, and as I said many times before I actually did it, I'm like, we're going to get rid of all of it. And so, you know, we did. Like, we went through the cupboards and we chucked out the cookies and the candies and the chips and whatever else. And, you know, whatever wasn't finished. And we got rid of all that. And, you know, then it was kind of like a fresh start. So then we're going to the grocery store and we're picking out some healthier options. And it kind of took me some time to figure out like what that would look like for me, because like personally, I'm not a salad gal. And I was under the impression before that to lose weight, you like only had to eat salads or something like
my
that.
wife's the exact same way. Like salads, no, unless it's like one of those salads that have like, you know, craisins and everything else in it to really make it sweet or whatever. Yeah. Or the croutons, you know, stuff like that.
Creamy dressing, like, all the good stuff. No, I'm not a big salad person. And so it was trying to figure out like what the healthier substitutions were for me, because previously, like, you know, for example, a typical breakfast for me would usually look like, you know, 2 pieces of toast, like drowned in like tablespoons upon tablespoons of peanut butter. And so like, you know, I was looking at it again and I was like, you know what, well, I'm going to try, you know, let's just cut back to like one slice of toast with like a decent amount of peanut butter. And then I started incorporating like smoothies into my breakfast and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Love a smoothie. And so it just started like with little sort of changes like that. Finding the foods that I enjoyed, you know, like healthier, like chip substitutes. Like I was really into the like crispy minis for a while and stuff like that. So yeah, like just, you know, making those small changes. And a lot of people ask me too, they'll be like, oh, you know, so did you jump into the exercise right away too? And I'm like, no, because that was like way too much for my brain to complete in the start. And I think that's why I failed so many times in the past, is because I would go so hard. I'd be like, I have to change my entire diet,
all or nothing. Yeah,
it's all at once, and it was so overwhelming. So this time I'm like, I'm just gonna focus on the food side of things. And so my first 50 or so pounds I lost just nutritionally by, you know, managing my food better. And then I started working in some exercise at that point.
Okay. No, that's awesome. I think that is like the number one, especially like I get asked a lot as an ambassador, or I'm sure the other ambassadors do too, is like, you know, what do you do for your exercise routine? Or, you know, how much should I be walking 10,000 steps? Should I be doing this? Should I be jogging, running? And, you know, there's so many different aspects of a healthy lifestyle that people, it surprisingly shows you that a lot of it's in the kitchen. A lot of it is what you're putting in your mouth, because, I mean, when I was at my lowest, I lost it all without working out because I hate working out. I'm one of them where, no, like, I didn't go to school to be a PE teacher. Like, you know what I mean? That's just, that's how I am. And I feel like that's good to know. And that's good for everybody in the audience to know that, you know, you lost 50 pounds, initially lost the 50 pounds without stepping foot in the gym. You know what I mean? So with that, you lost the 50 pounds. Now, when you started incorporating exercise or any type of physical activity that you did, what was the reasoning for that? What was it? You know?
Yeah, you know, it was more so a desire, because I knew that, you know, I knew that I was losing the weight, right? Because I saw it on the scale and I saw it in the way that my clothes fit. But I still noticed that, like my cardiovascular abilities were not really there. Like I had done, I think, so much damage to my body being at such a heavy weight that, my ability to, like walk up a flight of stairs, even 50 pounds later, was like, I was still like huffing and puffing. And so I realized, okay, like this is kind of maybe something I need to look at. So I thought, well, I've lost this amount of weight. It's going to be a lot easier for me to get into exercising than it would have been at like 245 pounds.
Oh yeah.
So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to give something a try. And then one day, my best friend, she started going to spin classes at a local.
Lord, there's tons of spin people in this group.
Yes. And so I thought, I'm like on a whim, she was saying, does anyone want to join me? And so I messaged her and I said, I do. So I did, like totally on a whim. Like I got out like my old like high school gym clothes because I had nothing else to wear.
I was going to say, so like not like I would be fearful being like, oh, I'm going to go to spin class. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm almost 31 years old. Like nothing like that should really bother me, but like it would. And it's so funny about spin class. When we had a restaurant like 2015, 2016, right across the street from a restaurant was a 24/7 Club Fit gym. And they had spin class every single Thursday night. And I remember like being there, making the food, doing the register, but looking, and there was people in like their 50s, 60s doing spin class. And I'm like, I don't know how they do it. So like, what was that experience for you? Like, and there is a lot of people, believe it or not, in the iTrackBites community that does spin class, or they're not really doing spin class right now because of COVID, but they're doing like Peloton or stuff like that. So like, how was that for you?
It was incredible. Like it was so humbling, first of all, because, I could barely keep up. And like with spin class, like as people who do it will know, like it's not just about the cardio of like staying on pace and stuff, but it's a lot of choreography, and you're like doing these like, fancy moves. And I was simultaneously like embarrassed and also thrilled, because I was like, this is kind of exciting. And the music is pounding, the lights are going off and on. And it's very almost like like they're giving like these motivational speeches, and there were candles. And I was like, this is almost like the coolest cult that I could have ever been like brought to.
Yeah.
I was so into it. And so, the first time I went, of course I left like completely sweaty, and I felt like I had gotten a good workout, even though I could barely keep up. And I waited about 2 weeks because like my legs were so sore that I couldn't go any earlier.
Yeah.
But then I joined up and I started doing about two classes a week, at least until the studio closed due to COVID. My membership is paused right now, but yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. So I recommend it to anybody who's been wondering.
That's so cool. Rachel, one of our ambassadors, she actually this week, or like at the end of last week, was talking about getting a Peloton. And she was kind of going with the back and forth on it. And I told her, I said, yes, get one. Tell me how it is, because it's one of them where it's like, see, like, I know for me, I don't know if I can put myself out there and go to the gym. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I've went to the gym in the past. I remember being in college and getting that free membership to the college gym and doing that, which was great because I would go in between classes and nobody was there, stuff like that. I don't know if I could. And it's so funny because people do say that, like, why would you be scared to do it, Jordan? Like, you put yourself out there in an audience, like hundreds of people watch you. And I'm like, no, it's totally different. Like, when I'm not comfortable doing it, I don't do it. You know what I mean? And so that's when I told Rachel, I was like, please get it. Tell me how you like it, because I've been trying to talk my wife into eventually getting one, because I think it's something that she would enjoy too.
Oh, yeah. And it's, I find like for me, I like, being a person who also didn't enjoy the gym, like I would try going and, there were just so many people, and there was always like these beefy dudes like dropping their weights real hard and like, jumping all over the place. Like, this is, I'm like, this is not for me. Like, it's not really my scene. And so, and because of that, like I would consistently pay for the year-long membership every year and go maybe like 5 times. And so I'm like, what am I paying all this money for? Cause I hated it. And I thought, is the only kind of exercise that people do, but it's definitely not. So
it's definitely the thing, like that's your thing. You know what I mean? Like you love. That's awesome. I love hearing that, honestly. So you started noticing, hey, I'm going once or twice a week to spin class. That's helping the weight loss, of course. How was the rest of your journey from 50 to 80 something pounds?
It was great because like I not only did I notice that the weight was coming off a little bit faster with the increased activity, but I just felt stronger. Like, I could feel like my calf muscles were getting there, and I could just feel like the difference in, like I said, like my cardio was getting so much better. Like I could walk up a flight of stairs without huffing and puffing, and that was like, and it sounds like such a simple thing, but to me that was huge because I couldn't do that for
Yeah.
years. And it was something that always embarrassed me, like, walking up the stairs at university, and I'd be like trying to like control my breathing so that everyone around me wasn't thinking like, oh, listen to that fat girl huffing.
Oh, God.
That's the thoughts going through
Yeah.
my mind. Meanwhile, like nobody's thinking that, but so yeah, so then like I did commit to the spin for a couple days a week, and I started going for more walks around my neighborhood and stuff when the weather is nice, but then it really only happened because of COVID, with the studio being shut down, and the weather got a little bit chillier and it wasn't as easy to get out and do walks and things like that. So now I've started doing a routine where like 4 or 5 days a week I do like mixed workouts. Like sometimes it's strength training, sometimes it's like hit workouts, or like cardio stuff, all in the comfort of my living room where it's nice and warm.
Yeah. Do you find those on like YouTube or whatever, or do you have like DVDs or?
So it's actually one of the instructors from my spin studio. She started doing them live on Instagram.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so for a really reasonable price, we joined back in November. She did her first like workout challenge, and then for December and now January, she's been doing them, and she mixes up the workouts every time, and they're always super challenging. So that's kind of what I've been going with, because I know for me, like if I don't like pay into something, or have that accountability of being in a group of some kind, I will not try as hard. So I can say, oh, I'm gonna do like YouTube workouts, but I will never do YouTube workouts because I'm lazy. So
yeah, no, I think that's really cool. I think what's cool about that is that you take in such a bad thing like COVID and can turn around, into something good. Like, hey, we're still meeting virtually. Like, who would have ever thought that, especially like 2020 and 2021 now starting, that this is like where it is right now? Like everything's virtual, you know what I mean? Like, I even think for us with iTrackBites, like even if there wasn't COVID, like it's so nice to be able to be virtual with our meetings, because there's 130 people on here right now that are watching live now, but then, in the next day or two, there's thousands and thousands of people that replay. Like they're not all going to fit there. They're all not going to come to a 7:30 meeting, on Tuesday nights type thing. It's totally cool. So when you've lost your 80 something pounds, was that when you were kind of like, hey, I stalled, I knew that was my goal weight? Was it something like, did you see your doctor and get like physical done, and they're just like, hey, this is kind of where we want to see you at? Like, how did that work? How does that work for you?
Yeah, so it was kind of an accidental like foray into maintenance mode for me, because so I went, like I mentioned, so I lost my 85 pounds in just over a year. So it was about like March of 2020. And I was, I'm like, hey, so, I'm at this weight, but I still would like to lose more, because I had this idea in my head that I'm like, if I just drop another 15 pounds, then I've lost 100 pounds. And like, who wouldn't want to say that? Right. Like, and, so I was like, hey, I'm going to keep going with weight loss mode. And so at that point, on the Sugar Smart plan, I was at the lowest amount of bites that they'll give you per day. And so I was like, okay, like if I just keep going, I'll keep losing weight. Well, I found that, months were going by and I was not losing weight. I was just sort of like going up and down between the same, like
gaining and losing the same 5 pounds.
The same, like, 1 to 5 pounds over and over again. And so I, like it was kind of like the definition of insanity. I kept doing the same thing and hoping for different results. Like, maybe if I keep going, like I'll just keep losing the weight. And then it wasn't until like, I'm almost like embarrassed to say like November, like this past November, that I finally realized, you know what, like why am I doing this? I'm starting a new workout routine that was really challenging me, because I was starting to build more muscle, and I felt like I wasn't eating enough with the weight loss bites that I was being given every day. And so I just kind of made the decision in November to switch my account to maintenance mode, and I got 3 extra bites a day to enjoy, and that's been really good, because now I feel like I'm actually fueling my body for the activity level that I'm at.
Awesome. So now that you've been in maintenance, like I plan on probably in like the next month or so interviewing Ashley, one of our ambassadors again, because she hit maintenance like a couple weeks ago and she's kind of learning it all. But for you with maintenance, how has, besides getting the extra 3 bites, like how has your maintenance journey been since November? Like, are you finding that, hey, I'm still tracking every day? You know what I mean? Because I feel like sometimes if we go into maintenance, we kind of like, oh, I've lost all the weight. I'm going to be lenient. I'm not, how was that for you?
Yeah, it's funny because people always ask me, like, even when I was kind of in the middle of my journey, they'll be like, so are you going to like track forever? And I was like, honestly, probably, because for me, I have control issues when it comes to food. Portion sizes are a problem for me, emotional eating. So for me, I feel like the best solution is to just try and keep track of it as best I can. So like, I took like a little tracking break over the holidays. Like I just sort of indulged and enjoyed, but then, right back on it when I started back at work after the holiday break. And, I think for me, I'm just going to plan to, keep on track. Like I still monitor my food every day. I log it all in, but I found that it's actually given me, it makes me feel a little bit more free to eat certain things. So like, whereas before I was very strict, I'm like, I won't have more than like a 4-point breakfast because I will not have enough to have like snacks in the evening or whatever. Whereas it's so funny what like just 3 extra, points a day can do for you, because now I'm like, well, now I'm going to enjoy like, eggs and toast for breakfast if I want. And, like kind of just have those sort of, higher point snacks. Cause I feel like when I got into the point where I was starting to be at a plateau in like weight loss mode for a really long time, I was getting a little bit kind of crazy about the food a little bit. Like I refused to eat any snacks that weren't 0 points. So like if it wasn't fruit or just veggies, I wasn't going to eat it. Because I'm like, well, then that's taking away points. And I was just very sort of like, I don't know, it didn't feel good to me knowing that I was being so controlling about my eating habits, because I didn't feel, and I was hungry a lot of the time because I was starting to increase my activity and stuff. So, now I'm working in a lot more stuff like, like one of my favorite snacks, I'll do like, hard boiled eggs or like, like unprocessed like cheese sticks and stuff like that. Like more like, hearty snacks that will actually keep me going. And I'm starting, to incorporate like more like, different options for breakfast and stuff like that. So I think it's kind of made a difference in my mentality. And I don't know if maybe like, I know like Brianna, so I know that she's doing sort of like a maintenance mode, and then she's planning to like cut.
We'll start a cut next week.
Yeah, so I've been following her journey, and I think that that's super interesting. So I thought, maybe I'll give it a try for a few months, stay at maintenance, and then, I'm getting married in September. So
congrats.
Thank you. Yeah. So, fingers crossed anyways. So we're gonna, I was thinking maybe, a few months before that, I might like, go back into weight loss mode and see if maybe now that I've given my metabolism some time to readjust itself, it might, kind of kickstart a little bit more of a loss. But to be honest, I'm happy with where I'm at. Like the number on the scale isn't so much of a focus for me anymore. I only weigh myself once a month now, because I found that weighing once a week when I was sort of going up and down was getting a little bit detrimental to my mental health. So so I've kind of been like winging it a little bit, I guess.
No, Paul, one of our ambassadors, he does the same thing. He weighs himself. I think he weighs himself daily. Paul, you have to tell me if I'm wrong, but he only logs it once a month. And it's so funny that you talk about Brianna, because I just messaged her today because do you do calories as a second metric at all, or are you just strictly just like a points person?
No, so that's one of the features, because I don't pay for the pro subscription and I'm not like grandfathered into that option. So unfortunately I don't do the double tracking, but it is something that I've been really considering, because I know that it might make a difference in how I'm seeing everything every day.
Yes, definitely. Well, that's the reason why I was asking, is because what I've noticed since the beginning of the year, me and my wife and my sister has been on like a whole foods journey, like trying to get the best ingredients for us. And sometimes the best ingredients are very high in bites, if that makes sense. So it's nice to know that you have the calories as a second metric to be like, yes, it might be like 6 or 7 bites for Sugar Smart, but it's healthy ingredients and it's going to keep you full. You know what I mean? And when I talked to Brianna today, you know, I was talking to her about the calories, how much really I should be at, yada, yada. And she also said one thing is that we need to focus on protein, which is something I don't think about at all. So she kind of gave me like the equation to figure out the protein. And I feel like, yes, like why? That's why so many people on Better Balance, you know, they get the free foods. They feel hungry a lot because they're not eating those free foods. But those free foods, a lot of them are protein. Like you need to get the protein in, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way. And I think like at this point now that I'm in maintenance mode, you know, more or less for the time being, I'm really trying to focus more on just overall wellness as opposed to weight loss. And
Yeah.
one of the big things for me is, you know, when I was in the middle of like losing the bulk of my weight, I was relying a lot on processed foods and things like, you know, to try and kick those, like, you know, curb the habits that I had developed before. So like I was, you know, drinking a lot of diet soda, you know, having a lot of like, you know, like grilled cheese sandwiches with like processed American cheese, but they're light and it's only 2 points for a slice. And so, but like, in terms of what was actually making like the best nutrition choices for me, like that definitely wasn't what was the best way to fuel my body. So I feel like now that's kind of more of my focus. I'm expanding my repertoire in the kitchen a little bit.
Yeah, no, I love that. Somebody just asked, Shelly from DeMont just asked, oh, what do you suggest for lunches at work? And I say we go into what is normally like your routine for breakfast, lunch, dinner? You know what I mean? Like what are some things for each of those meals to kind of give some inspiration to people?
Of course, yeah. So, well, okay, we'll start with breakfast. So, lately, what I've been rotating between is I'll do, say, I still like my, you know, slice of whole grain toast with, and now I keep it to a half tablespoon of peanut butter. But just like your regular Kraft peanut butter, I don't really like the powdered stuff, so I just kind of avoid that. But I do that, and I'll have a smoothie usually with it. I'm very controversial. I don't believe in tracking fruit in smoothies.
Yeah, fruit blended. Yes.
Don't at me, as the kids say.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I feel like, you know, I'm like bananas didn't make me fat, so I'm not gonna pack them.
Sorry for interrupting, but like with your smoothies, do you do like the frozen pre-made like frozen fruit that you can buy at the grocery store and you're just like, hey, I'm throwing that in my blender, or how do you make your smoothie?
Yeah, so we have one of those nice like little individual blender cups for our Ninja, which has been a total game changer for me. So in there, I'll just toss. I'll start with like a quarter cup of frozen spinach. Then usually like I think about a half cup of frozen mixed berries, 1 banana, a teaspoon of ground flaxseed, and then I'll top it like a very inexact measurement of almond milk unsweetened. And that's kind of become like my go-to combination for that.
That actually sounds really good, honestly.
It's very good. Yeah. People are always like flaxseed and spinach. That sounds
awesome. No. Well, I love
those berries in there and it's delicious.
Yeah. First of all, love spinach, period. Like I love spinach. But yeah, I've had it in a smoothie before and it's really good. So that's good. So normal is like your smoothie something you have on the regular or every couple of times, you know?
Well, when I was in like weight loss mode, that was kind of my go-to breakfast was like, you know, a piece of toast with either like a little bit of peanut butter or an egg on top and a smoothie. And so, you know, that was like something that I had almost like 5 days a week for breakfast was a smoothie. So I'm a big believer in the smoothie as an option because they're delicious. And, you know, if you don't track the fruit like me, they're nice and low in points. So but yeah, so I'll alternate that. Something else I've been getting into recently is overnight oats. Love that. Just as an option, I'll make that in the evening for my fiance and I, and then we can just like pull them out of the fridge, put some chopped banana on top in the morning and like call it a day.
Yeah.
So that's really good. And also I've been doing Greek yogurt, like non-fat Greek yogurt with some like defrosted frozen berries on top and then a teaspoon of ground flaxseed mixed in. And it sounds like a weird combination, but when you get it all mixed together, it's actually super good.
Yeah. No, I love anything like that. I think the only thing I would change is I would toss in some raw honey.
Ooh, that'd be good. Yeah.
Yeah. We just got a big, huge thing from Costco. I don't know if you guys have Costco in Canada, but
we sure do.
Hey, there we go. So what's it looking like for your lunches? I know that they were asking really like, what are some things that you would, that first, let's go with like, what are your lunch choices now with being at home due to
Mm-hmm.
working from home? But how is it like when you were in your office, going to work every day?
Well, it's actually very much the same. So we kind of alternate. So every weekend, my routine is on Saturdays, I go to the grocery store and I get all of our groceries for the week in one big shot. And then on Sundays is when I do our meal prep. So it's very simple. Like usually I'll make a big batch of something like, like this week we did like a spicy vegetarian chili. We eat a lot of plant-based meals, not because we're vegetarian, but just because it's like a preference. It's less expensive and it feels a little bit more, it feels healthier a lot of the time, just based on a lot of the
Well,
research.
especially with prices of meat, because I can let you know right now, I've been Instacarting on my way to we're moving to Alabama the next month.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for work, and I literally my wife went to Costco and got 100% grass-fed beef, which is what we're supposed to be eating.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out to be like how she bought it was she bought them into hamburger slices instead of the thing, and she's made it to where she just thaws it out and puts it all together, of course. But it equaled out to like $3.99 a pound. And when I Instacarted last week for somebody that wanted it, like I got her 4 pounds and it was $9.99 a pound. And I'm like, $40. That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? And it's like, unless you get the meat bin that's discounted because you have a day to use it or freeze it, you're not getting good deals on your price of meat. So I get that.
No, it's pricey, and because there's just the two of us and we live in a pretty small apartment with no freezer space really to speak of. So like people are always like, oh, well, do you just go to Costco, buy like the huge pack of like chicken breast or whatever?
Yeah.
And, we don't have anywhere to store it. So by the time we're going and buying, our 2-pack of chicken breasts, like $12 for 2 chicken breasts is pretty average. And that's just too much sometimes. So
yeah.
So we've been doing a lot of like plant-based meals and, we're really enjoying them. It feels a little bit leaner too, a little less heavy.
I'd probably say chickpeas. Like I see a lot of people with chickpeas and a can of chickpeas. I don't know if do they like make chickpeas that isn't in a can? I've never seen it anywhere else. But like a can of chickpeas, it's a big can for like, honestly, 99 cents. So I completely understand that, especially if you do anything like with salads or whatever you want it on.
Totally. Yeah. So we'll do tons of stuff so this chili I made this week, like it had lots of good beans and stuff in it, lots of veggies. We'll also do some different stuff. I've been really into lentils lately. Weirdly. So I've been making a lot of I made like a Moroccan lentil soup and a lentil chili and all these different things. So usually when I meal prep, I'll do something sort of like a big pot of something that'll last the two of us for days. And we'll just kind of pull that out of the fridge for lunches and pop it in the microwave. Also, sandwiches too. Like I'm a big believer that you can still enjoy bread and lose weight. I don't do like the Sara Lee bread or like the
No, I get you.
I go and our local grocery store does really nice in-house baked breads. So I'll usually get a nice loaf of sourdough.
Sourdough, yes.
I like.
My wife has been making a sourdough starter for like the last 4 days because she's in this kick that she wants to, and she made pancakes from it the other day, and it was like thebomb.com. And she's doing it to where she can make sourdough bread because I did tell her I love sourdough. However, when I go to the grocery store, I don't think I'm going to buy a thing of sourdough bread. You know what I mean? But when I do have sourdough, I'm like, that's my go-to bread for deli sandwiches is sourdough. I love sourdough. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm so fussy. I will not put my sandwich on just our basic whole wheat bread that I use for toast. I'm I've got to have some sort of fancy I'm very fussy about bread. Bread is honestly, it's my number one food. And people are sometimes shocked when I tell them this, but today, for example, I had a piece of toast with breakfast, 2 slices of bread with my sandwich for lunch, and we had bread on the side with our chili tonight. Yeah. And people are sometimes like, oh my God, you eat that much bread, how do you lose weight? And I'm like, because it fits into my points. So
definitely.
That's just the way it is. So so then, sandwiches are good. I'm a big fan of, reduced sodium, lean, shaved chicken breast and stuff like that. Turkey is also good, with just, lettuce and tomato and a light mayonnaise and stuff like that. So that's kind of typical for lunches. And I would bring that for, for work too. We're very fortunate to have a nice little kitchen kitchen at work where I can store my bag in the fridge and
Yeah.
save and stuff. So I know it's harder for people who don't have those options, but that works for me.
Yeah. I didn't know, like, especially with you being, you know, working for a college and stuff, that if there's like a cafeteria there, like when you were working or whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
okay.
That was the danger zone. So when I first started working in university, before I had started my weight loss journey, I was probably going out to buy lunch at the cafeteria like 4 days a week.
Really?
Which was not only horrendously expensive, but also very unhealthy because there are very few healthier options. But of course, like that was like the salad place. And as I mentioned, I don't do many salads. So
Yeah.
so I was like having like, you know, a burger or like a Subway or like,
Yeah.
you know, up here in the north, it's the poutine. You got to love some poutine up here. So
yeah,
it was a lot of options like that. So yeah, and you know, I like when we were working on campus, I would still go out like, you know, maybe once every 2 weeks or something with friends. And I would just make a healthier option. I would go, you know, get a wrap or something like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. So what does it look like for dinners for you guys? Do you meal prep your dinners too? Or are you kind of just like you plan them? Like I know my wife, she like hasn't, like, she already warned me in advance for next week. She's like, just let you know, with the budget, it ain't gonna be nothing fancy. And I'm like, all right, sounds good.
You're like, hey, if you're planning it, I'm eating it.
Yep, that's fine, honey. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, that's great. No, yeah, we try every once in a while. I will meal prep stuff because my fiance works nights, so a lot of the time I'll be here by myself in the evenings, and so it's just kind of nice to have something that I can just grab for. You know, so if I'll make like, you know, maybe a couple different options for meal prep on the weekend, like, you know, once a time I did like, you know, a pot of soup for lunches and then like burrito bowls for dinner.
Okay.
So that'll be kind of an example, but then a lot of the time I don't, and dinners will just sort of be whatever is on hand. So we recently got an air fryer for Christmas.
Oh, I love it.
Yes, so that's been kind of my experiment. So I've been doing lots of stuff in there. Different sort of like, even just like freezer foods are really fun to put in there. Like I got some like lightly battered like fish fillets and stuff to sort of toss in there and see how that goes. And and I get to eat all the things that my fiance doesn't like when he's working nights because he doesn't like, you know, he doesn't care for tofu. So sometimes I'll fry up some tofu and like make like a stir fry and stuff like that. So yeah, basically whatever's on hand that I know he won't miss out of the fridge. That's kind of what I eat for when he's looking right now.
No, the air fryer. So like we inherited our air fryer from my grandmother. My grandma is a big QVC person. And so, like, I think we've had it for the last, well, really since like 2016. So it's been almost 5 years. It's a little one, but I remember she bought it. I went to her house, was on a breezeway, and I seen it in a box. And I'm like, hey, like, when did you buy this? And she's like, I don't even know what it is. Like, that's my grandma. And I'm like, oh, well, how about you let me bring it home? I'll try it out, let you know. And then my grandma's just like, you can have it. And so that's how we inherited our air fryer. But we have a family of 4, and so we've been needing a huge air fryer. And we're actually moving into a fifth wheel camper to go down to Alabama for a couple months until we find our house and all that. So I'm trying to talk my wife into getting a Ninja Foodie Grill. So it's like a bigger air fryer type thing for it. So yeah, everybody loves air fryers here. Like, love air fryers.
It's such a trend. I love it. But like, I'm one of those obnoxious people that I'll like Snapchat everything I make in the air fryer and I'll send it to my friends. And I've like converted one friend into getting her own air fryer because I kept sending her so many obnoxious pictures being like, look at what I made in my air fryer.
Yeah. No, I love that. Love that so much. So what exactly, okay, so first of all, let's talk about your fiance. So was your fiance like, I hate being like heavier set, but you get what I'm saying. Like, has he noticed changes in himself with your weight loss journey? Because obviously you're cooking, you know what I mean? You're doing all that stuff.
Yeah, you know, it's actually kind of crazy because, you know, throughout my university career, like we've been together since I was in my first year. And so like, God bless him. He is amazing. He has honestly, don't look at me, I'm gonna cry. So he's like sitting behind me. He honestly has been with me through the whole thing. So he was with me when the weight went up and when the weight went down. And so, you know, like he's very supportive. And so, you know, we had some bad habits together as a couple, like, you know, like things like ordering pizza multiple times a week.
I was gonna say Taco Bell runs. That was me.
Yeah, midnight McDonald's.
Yes.
Trips, like all of it. You know, like
yes.
we instead of, you know, just having like one grilled cheese, we have like 3 each, like just like crazy stuff.
No, I get you.
Yeah, but then, you know, like because he knew I was struggling, and especially, you know, like there were so many times when, you know, he would, you know, I'd see a picture of myself or something, and I would burst into tears, and I'd be so upset. And this happened at like all stages as I was gaining the weight. And then, you know, so he saw how much I struggled with it, all the way through. And so when I finally said, look, I'm like serious about this, it's time to make a change, like not just because I want to look better, but because I want to do it for my health. Like I don't feel well.
Yeah.
He was like on board from the get-go. He was like ready to do this with me. So it was honestly incredible. There's a reason why I'm marrying this man, is basically what I'm saying. So but he's actually found that, you know, with me, you know, making some more meals and stuff, like he's down to try basically like anything I'll make. You know, any experimental recipe I find on Pinterest, he's down to give it a shot. And
Yeah.
And he's found that it's actually made him feel a lot better too, because he's lost a fair bit of weight since our, you know, big trip experience as well. So
Yeah. No, that's so good to have a support system. And like I tell everybody, like even if you don't have a spouse or a significant other or anything like that, you know, having that one person, whether it be your Instagram friend who's not like there in person, you know, finding somebody that you can definitely rely on. And it's so good to know that you have somebody that is with you all the time that is really, truly supportive. Because I feel like if you're like me and my wife, like we're there, it's very few and far between that like our days are bomb as far as like food choices or how we're doing on our program or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like when those days come that we're both like on track, like great, 100%, we're like, oh yeah, we got this. But then it's always like, you know, one day I'm not doing the best. She's on cloud 9, but she's there to talk me off the ledge, if that kind of makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
that's
I love
awesome.
that you have that person for you.
It makes such a difference for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
Support system. And then like even just to, you know, like yeah, like you said, like bounce off of each other. Like if I'm saying, you know, oh, I'm not really feeling it today, like can we just like order in or whatever, and he'll be like, you know what, no, because you said at the beginning of the week like you want to, you know, work hard and stuff. And I'll be like, you know what, you're right, we're gonna cook tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna get the air fryer.
Yeah.
Let's go. So real quick, we got about another 10 minutes left, so couple last questions. What does your health and wellness journey look like now? You know, you're in maintenance. Like, where are you going besides, I mean, your wedding is coming up in September, so of course you're going to try to, you know, get down a little more, but what does it look like right now? Like, what's your long-term goal now? You know, obviously you're in maintenance, but what is really the long term?
I think when I picture myself long term, I think it's just I imagine myself just trying to, you know, maintain the healthy habits that I've developed using iTrackBites. I said earlier I expect that I might track forever, but I don't really know. I hope that if I ever do decide to step away from the tracking in the future, that at least I'll have that sort of mindset about, you know, what the nutritious choices are, that I can sort of make those calls by myself.
Yeah.
And I hope that like in the future, you know, I'd like to still work on, you know, building strength, and I'm really been focusing more on the fitness side of things as opposed to the weight loss. You know, so I've been getting, you know, I feel like almost every day I do one of these workouts, you know, online. I feel like it's just, I'm getting more and more strong, and, you know, I feel good. Like I feel the healthiest I've ever felt at this point. Just like in terms of my like physical well-being. So I hope that
is so good for 25. Honestly.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just glad that I started like way back when, because you know, at least like I had a jump before he proposed to me. So now I'm like, I don't have to do all this work in a rush before the wedding.
I kind of like that you said you're focusing more on the exercising portion of it, because it's like, you know, now you're down in maintenance, so it's like you need something else to start focusing on and really knowing, hey, you know, especially if you have a slip up or two. You know, you are healthy, you are exercising. That's amazing. So I have 2 last questions that I always ask all the people that I interview. So the first one is, what's something that you wish you knew before you started your weight loss journey?
I think I wish that I knew that, oh God, it's hard to put into words, but I wish that I knew that I was capable of what I was capable of. Like, I wish that I could have known how strong I was inside, because, you know, when I first started out, I kind of had this idea in my head because I had tried and failed so many times before. I was sort of convinced that, well, this is just going to be another one of those times. And that wasn't the right mentality to go into it with. But I wish that I knew beforehand that, like, that I could do it if I really set my mind to it and if I really committed. And I think, like, I've heard so many people say, like, you know, the plan works if you work the plan. And it sounds so, like, trite, but it really is the case. And
No,
so
it's true.
my best advice to anyone who is, like, you know, thinking of starting this journey, but is kind of, like, hesitant because they're like, I don't know if I can do it, is that, yes, you can do it. You know, like, I fully believe that it's just about having that mindset, and really wanting it, because until you get to the point where I was, where you literally, like, do not like looking at yourself in the mirror, it sounds really strong, but, like, you kind of hate yourself a little bit. It's that I feel like it's hard to know that you can really commit to that. But I feel like, you know, don't let it get to that point. You can do it before then. That's my best advice to you.
I love that. And you just answered my second question. I always ask, what is some advice that you give somebody that's brand new to this or somebody that's thinking? No, thank you so much, Sydney. This has been such an awesome time. I love that I got to get to know you. Another Canada person. I love that. One of our ambassadors is from Canada. And it's just so awesome. One thing is, for U.S. states to Canada, I say college, you say university. And I love it. I love it. Because as soon as you said university, I'm like, yep, you're from Canada.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it. So, all right. Well, anything else you wanna say to anybody, or?
Yeah, you know, I mean, like, I think the thing is, I don't have, like, a huge, like, social media presence online, like, as I'm sure you saw. I'm a pretty private person, so I don't have, like, a public account or anything.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, if anyone wants to send me, like, a DM, my handle is Sid_Yelland. And so, you know, feel free to send me a message if you have any questions about Sugar Smart or anything like that. But yeah, I guess, like, yeah, just my last piece of advice, for anyone who's thinking about it is that don't think like I did, where you think that you have to eat in a certain way, because you can still enjoy the foods that you love while doing any of these plans, or at least I think so.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like, don't be afraid to jump in because you're like, I can never have pizza again. Like, no, I have eaten so much pizza since I started this.
Hello. Yes. So, all right. Well, thank you so much, Sydney, for joining us tonight. I appreciate it. Congratulations on engagement, and your wedding will be September. Yeah. So, like I said, it's Sydney. Okay, I'll type it in here. So it's SYD_, and how you spell your last name?
YELLAND, Yelland.
Yelland on Instagram. All right, I just put it in the comments. So you guys go ahead and give her a follow and give her a DM if you have any questions on her weight loss journey, or whether it be Sugar Smart or anything like that. So thank you so much, Sydney, for joining us tonight, and I hope you had a good time as well.
Oh, I definitely did. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. You have a great rest of your night.
You too.
Bye. All right, guys. Sydney was great. That was such a good meeting, such a good interview. I hope you guys got inspired like I did. Over 80-something pounds lost and still going. This is going to be a great time. It's been a great time, guys. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that we can have another live next week, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Let me know on my social media page, Clyde's Daily Life. Let me know if you're enjoying these types of meetings, if you want me to interview more people, what you like. But until then, I will see you guys next Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on iTrackBites. You guys have a good night.